Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chairside Assisting 2. I believe it's called DNA 114. So as you remember from last year, it was called Chairside Assisting 1 from the fall semester rather, and it was called DNA 113. So this is DNA 114, Chairside Assisting 2. Okay, we're going to go a little bit over the general syllabus. So here we have the Canvas course. I'm just going to open up our syllabus so we can just go over some of the stuff that's really important. My network seems to be a little bit on the slow side. But just in case, I will open mine away from Canvas. Okay. All right. All right, everyone. So here we have it's been updated. So welcome to DNA 114. In the syllabus, this is kind of a little bit of both the lecture and the laboratory syllabus as we had for DNA 113. Same format, everything is the same, except that Miss O'Brien is also the professor along with me. So I teach the lecture portion and one lab section, and Ms. O'Brien teaches the lab portion with me. So we meet for lecture on Wednesdays, 9 to around almost close to 11 a.m. I'll fix this in room 212. In room 212. And then, of course, on Fridays, you guys have your lab all day. I know that there are two sections, so let me see if I can pull that forward for you. All right. So as you can see here, we meet on Friday. So there's two separate sections. And in the afternoon, you guys are split back into two sections again in that time. So I just want to let you know. So it doesn't really matter which teacher you have. In the end of the day, Miss O'Brien and I kind of work together. And one section that's with me kind of alternates with her in the afternoon and vice versa. And then here you are for we meet on Wednesdays from 9 to 10:15, room 212. I think I emailed this to you as well. So if you can see Tuesdays and Thursdays, you will be going out to your externship practices. It could be anywhere from 8 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m. As long as you have that balance and establish your 200 hours by the end of the spring semester. And then, you'll be going over all the other times you meet for any of the other courses as we move along the in this semester. And you might have already gone through this with the other courses with Miss O'Brien. All right. So let's keep going with the syllabus here. Okay. Um, so again, it's the same textbook as you have from the fall semester, Modern Dental Assisting, the 14th edition, which is the blue book. And then, of course, we will be making some references to the infection control book that you have, the 7th edition. So same book, no need to purchase any additional books. Okay. So the purpose of this course, so as you know, for Chairside Assisting 1, it was a little bit different. It was more with the basics, the basic instruments and everything like the mouth mirror and the Explorer and just very bread and butter, very just to establish the foundation of your knowledge here in dentistry. Okay. So in Chairside Assisting 2, it deals with more special dental specialties like oral surgery, orthodontics, periodontics, prosthodontics, endodontics, and pediatric dentistry. Okay. So there is a total of 2 hours per week that we meet for lecture and 6 hours per week that we meet for lab, altogether 8 hours. Okay. So we want you to establish knowledge in terms of how to develop the tray setups and the armamentarium for each of these specialties, if not more. And then, of course, we will be going over some expanded functions in these specialized areas of dentistry. Okay. Um, so while you're taking this course, some of you might be taking PSY as a co-requisite or CST 229. I believe, I'm sorry, CST 229 only, and I believe the prerequisite was PSY 200. So some of you will be most likely will be taking CST 229 at the same time, but not many of you. Okay, so in order to pass the course, you do need a 75% or above to pass the course. Now, I especially want you to know, that the examination dates are final. We do not really reschedule examination dates. So I always want you to understand that. And sometimes during emergencies, there might be a Scantron sheet that we might be using. I don't anticipate using one, but in an emergency, you never know, especially with COVID happening in the past. Well, COVID happened in the past, so we had to really be prepared for emergencies. So stuff like that really, kind of makes us more prepared in case there is an emergency, or let's say, um, there's some sort of power outage that happens in the college campus. So that's why we mentioned the word scantrons or anything of the sort. Okay. So when it comes to makeup, so when it comes to lab, as you know, we do a demonstration and then we do the proficiency the following week. So if you are absent and you have an excused absence for that day, what would happen is, let's say you had COVID or you had to see the doctor due to some sort of emergency, heaven forbid, you have to provide a doctor's note. So please keep that in mind. That's considered an excused absence, for example. But when it's time to make up for a proficiency, first of all, students are expected to reach out to their respective instructor. The instructor will not reach out to you. You have to reach out to them, and you have a maximum of 1 week to make up that proficiency in DNA 114 lab. So if you go beyond that 1 week, it is an automatic 0. So please keep that in mind. Now, remember, when it comes to a makeup laboratory, because it is a little late, your maximum score is an 80%. So again, keep that in mind as well. Lateness, there'll also be penalties for lateness. So please be punctual. Usually I tell all students to come a little earlier. Now, especially in lab, I always say come 5 minutes earlier so you can sit down and get yourself situated rather than walking in while I'm talking. It's a little disruptive to me as well as to your classmates. So please don't be late, be on time. Know that there are deductions that happen if you're absent, or if you have an unexcused absence, or if you are late to lab or lecture. Okay. During inclement weather, of course, I want you to have be subscribed to the Nova website alerts. They call it Nova alerts. That way, if there's an ice storm or if there's a snowstorm or any type of emergency where the campus is closed, then we're out too. Okay. Withdrawal, there is a census date, and the census date is February 6th. Keep that in mind. And the time to withdraw without having a failure in your course is March 28th. March 28th. So keep in mind enrollment, especially with financial aid. All payments must be done. I believe this is the second year they're doing this, that all payments must be done, or else, they automatically withdraw you from the course. And that's going to be a problem. It's a big hindrance. You have to go back, go to admissions, go to your registrar and everything like that in case that happens. So please keep that in mind. Okay. As with anything, we always have an honor code. I will leave that up to you to review that. Accommodations, if you have any accommodations, please let me know in advance. As you know, I think if it's a new, since this is a new semester, if you have accommodations, please let me know. We want to keep the distractions minimal, so use of your cell phones, any type of electronic devices should be used at a very minimum base. Please know that there could be bloodborne pathogens and infectious diseases. You never know. We don't intend to work on each other. And of course, we do have sterilized instruments at all times. But still, this is a program that could entail bloodborne pathogens, especially things like DNA 140, where you're working on live patients and not mannequins out at the assigned clinical sites. So keep that in mind. We do not really allow any food or beverage in the computer rooms, nor in the labs. Just like as in DNA 113, the same thing is for DNA 114 when it comes to the grades. I want you to look at this again. In order to get an A, you got to have a 92 or up, a B 84 and up, and C 75 to 83. Now remember, passing is 75. I want you to take a look at the lecture grade and lab grade. They're both considered 50-50. Your lecture grade, notice that the quizzes aren't in your lecture grade, but they're in your lab. They're right here on the bottom. There will be some presentations that have to get done, and then of course your final exam in lecture. In your lab, Again, once again, we do have charting exercises, but they are not written. Instead, they will be on the computer. They're computerized. So yes, no colored pencils. I'm sure you're relieved not to have that. So keep that in mind. But you got to have your login and passwords, because when you log into the system on campus, that's the only way you can complete a charting exercise. And I believe, if anything, for your lab exercise, you will have charting exercise one that would be due. Now, remember, when you complete a charting exercise, you got to have the file number on there, just like what you did with radiology. You should have some sort of file number so that when I go back and grade it, I know how to look it up. Okay. Um, the point system is still the same when it comes to your performance and your proficiencies or just overall in the course. And everything else I'll let you be when it comes to reviewing any type of policies. I did want to go down and I want to show you that the format of the proficiencies is the same. For example, we have here application of fluoride varnish. So this is something that you will be doing. You could be doing it on each other, or we might be using a mannequin or a mannequin. So I just want you to make friends with the format, just like how it was last year, or rather in the fall semester. Okay. I wanted to go over, yes, I believe this is it. I wanted to go over your lecture outline. Again, it's in room 212. So for your week one, it's all recorded videos. And when you see the videos for transferring instruments or any of the chapters, it's just to brush up. Notice that it's not on your exam. It's to brush up on it. The reason why I want you to review those videos is because now that you're going to DNA 140, when you're going there on Tuesdays and Fridays, I just don't want you to feel like you forgot it. So it's kind of a refresher for you. So keep that in mind when you see that on Canvas, when you see it on Canvas. Notice that we have removable prosthodontics, fixed prosthodontics. Everything is there along with the chapters. All of the PowerPoints are located in your Canvas course each week as they get published. And then you always have a quiz that is due, with the exception of week one. All the other weeks, there's a quiz that is due, I believe, the midnight or 11:59 p.m. on the night before. I haven't finalized which night it would be due, but I usually write an email and I usually tell you that it's 10 or 15 minutes. You have that much time frame, something of the sort, and you got to get it done by then. And you have to have respondents lockdown on your computer, and you do it asynchronously at your own time, but by the deadline. So keep those in mind. You do have your tests, or rather exams. If I'm not mistaken, you have 3 tests and 1 final all-inclusive exam, all-inclusive exam. I want you to take note of spring break and the day we don't have class, week 13 and week 9. So in week 9, it's spring break. We don't meet at all. You do not go to your clinical rotation. That is a complete week off. Okay. And then in week 13, I believe if you are deficient in hours, of course, that's a case by case basis. You will be going to your clinical rotation as well. I'm trying to look at anything else. So this was altogether your lecture syllabus. Okay. Want to just go over briefly your lab syllabus. Again, same format, no surprises here. In week one, again, charting exercise, you got to review your recordings. You will come to campus to do your charting exercise and make sure you have your login and password every time you come for that. Every year, there's some students that just kind of forget them, or they don't have it on them. And Miss Stephanie is not present at the front desk sometimes. And when she's absent for that day, or let's say she's on vacation, then you're kind of twiddling your thumbs, and then you get penalized for not being able to complete the charting exercise for that day. You will need your typodonts. You will need your typodonts. So especially almost, I think, the first half of the entire uh, lab lab week. So the first, like, I think, 8 weeks that you're going to need your typodonts. So in your typodonts, what you're going to need is you're going to be doing all, like, crown 1, crown 2, all of that, crown 3, and even a temporary bridge. So there's a lot to do with that. And that's why I'm like, try not to forget that. Put that in the trunk of your car along with the prep teeth, Put the whole box in your car so you don't have to worry about that. In addition, remember the copy machine in the clinic is off limits. So try your best just to copy all of them, put them in the trunk of your car if you could, leave it there so that, whenever you got to go back, you could just go back and get them. Same format in terms of demonstration and proficiency. However, you'll notice that some of them are mixed. There's a demonstration and a proficiency because they're such short labs that I figured we'll just demonstrate it and we'll do it together, or I'll test you one-on-one in doing it, and then you'll get a grade for that day, and that's it. So that way things kind of flow better. But there are some that are a little bit more longer. Like, for example, I have to demonstrate a certain type of crown, and then the following week you perform that crown. Same with nitrous, oral surgery. So it's a little bit of a mix and match. Let's take a look at the days you have, the days you do not report to lab. Spring break, you will not be reporting to lab. So take note of that. Week 10, there is lecture that week, but there is no lab because you're not allowed to be there. There's the dental hygiene national board exam that week. So please keep that week in mind. These 2 weeks, you will not be in lab. Okay. On this one, same thing. Week 13, you will not be going to lab. Instead, we might, I write no by default, but we might be sending you to the assigned DNA 140 clinical sites. Okay. Again, that's a case by case. Do not report there. You have to, we will have to talk to you about that in advance. And, we'll have conversation as the weeks get on and closer to this date. Closer to this date. We would like to have a lunch and learn for you guys later on in week 15. But again, that is to be determined since it's way far ahead of the game, and where it's really early in the year. So, and then of course your final exam. Take note of the weeks. They fly by. They really fly by. As you saw in DNA 113, the fall semester that flew by. The same thing goes for this. And not to mention, you got spring break and you got 2 weeks of not coming to lab. You'll be going to lecture, but 2 weeks of definitely not going to lab at all. So they will go by pretty quickly, pretty quickly. And again, you can always email me, if you have any questions. We could always set up a time. I wanted to go over, I believe, on the first page here. Miss O'Brien and I do have office hours. Make issues with the scroll. There it is. We do have office hours, and you know where our office is. Okay. So with me, you can always make appointments with me at any time. However, there's a tendency for me to be more available Wednesday after your lecture. And obviously throughout the lab, we have open communication throughout lab time that you could talk to Miss O'Brien and I one-on-one too. But again, communication is key, so it's important to just kind of let us know in advance. I'm trying to think of anything else. And that's it for DNA 114. It's going to be a pretty quick ride, very quick. And then before you know it, we'll be hitting the summer semester, or rather your 6-week summer session is what they call it. It's not a true semester for the summer. Instead, it is 6 weeks. But this one is a good solid 15 weeks. And then in your 16th week, you just have exams. All right. And thank you so much, and good luck.